All right, so today we have another audit. This is going to be an audit of a Google Ads campaign for a painting company. And I'm going to go through everything, find some things to work on, things to improve, and then put it all together in this video. So if you're new here, my name is Chris. I cover all things Google Ads and local lead generation. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you are somebody that wants to get a video like this made for your business, you can actually go to the description below. There's going to be a link over to a consultation form. You can fill that out. Just let me know you're looking for an audit, and I will put this video, well, essentially a video like this together for you, and then send it off to you. You can take it and implement it, and then I also take it and then put it up to the channel here just for some more content up to the channel. So with all that said, let's just jump into this audit. We'll walk through this campaign and see what we can improve. All right, so let's hop into the audit. So what I'm going to do is over on the other monitor here, I have some notes that I will kind of reference as I go through this. And we'll just kind of walk through things bit by bit, and I'll go back and forth throughout the notes. And yeah, let's just kind of hop right in. So there's a couple things I wanted to cover first at a high level that I noticed before we kind of dive into settings and keywords and all that kind of stuff. So the number one thing, I know you mentioned, wanting to switch to maximize conversions and all that kind of stuff. The first thing that I really noticed is it doesn't look like there's conversion tracking set up. And when I go into the conversion area over here, I see some conversion action set up here, but I'm not 100% sure that there is actual conversion tracking set up and tracking on the landing pages and things like phone calls, form fills, all that kind of stuff. So that is going to be the number one thing that you're going to have to do on this campaign to try to kind of get it in the direction you want it to go, but I will cover that in more depth later. I'm not going to do like a whole tutorial on how to set it all up because it's a little bit more, I think, outside the scope of this video. It would probably take a little bit too long, but that's the biggest thing you want to have set up, because with Google Ads, if you're not tracking conversions, meaning, what keyword led to a phone call, what ad led to a phone call, that kind of stuff, if you're not tracking that, then Google's not going to be able to optimize itself because it doesn't know what a lead is to you. So you need to essentially tell Google that a phone call is a lead. So you have to set up a conversion action that shows Google, like when somebody calls this phone number, track it as a conversion, and then it gets fed back into Google, and then it will log as a conversion, and Google can learn from there. And then not only that, but if you're going to be optimizing the campaign on your end, you need to know what keywords are leading to phone calls, ads, etc. And the only way you know that is with conversion tracking. And then one other thing I noticed really quickly, just at a high level, is I noticed the daily budget. And this is one of those situations where obviously I'll do the audit and kind of tell you what I would do on the campaign. But this is one of those situations where I would look at it. And to be completely honest and upfront, I would probably just recommend looking towards a different platform than Google, especially for something like painting. Painting can be kind of notoriously expensive when it comes to some of the cost per click, cost per lead, all of that. And if you have only $30 a day to budget towards it right now, I would probably look more towards Facebook, because I'm going to go through some of the keyword planner stuff later. And you're going to notice like some of the cost per click can be somewhere close to like $30 per click for good high quality traffic. So it's one of those things, it's just sort of the reality of Google Ads, where there's certain instances like this, like I said, where I would just recommend looking towards other platforms. But like I said, I'll touch on that a little bit later. So first thing I wanted to talk about as we go through the list here is I want to go into the settings, cover a couple of things there, and then we'll get into keywords and all that kind of stuff. So everything here looks fine. You're on Google Search Network, which is good. We covered some of the budget stuff, the bidding strategy. So without conversion set up, maximize clicks is fine. One thing I would recommend here is you want to set a maximum cost per click bid limit. If you leave this unchecked and you let Google bid whatever they want to bid, they will 100% bid whatever they want to bid. So we'll look at the keyword planner later, and then you'll have to set a max cost per click bid limit here. If you set it too low, you're going to get no traffic. So you want to make sure you give Google at least a little bit of room to figure itself out. So maximize clicks is fine when you have conversion tracking set up. Then you can go towards something like max conversions and test it out and see if it works. So that is that. And then we'll move on to the location targeting. And there were a couple of things that I noticed with the location targeting once this actually loads up here. Google's being slow. So with the location targeting, if we go into advanced search here, targeting a couple counties, which is fine. One thing I would do is I would add exclusions to the location targeting as well. So I would just go through, I would exclude every other state. And then what I usually do within the state that I'm advertising in is I will actually exclude all the other areas around it as well. So you can actually use this tool right here, hit this on, and then I will go show by county or something like that. And it's the exact same as targeting. You can just click on it and then hit exclude like that. And then it'll exclude everything around it. You just hit save and then you are good to go that way. The reason why we want to do that is there's, you kind of run the risk of having out of location searches, out of location phone calls if you don't set that kind of stuff up, because everybody has a mobile device and they're moving around all the time, and that can just lead to out of location calls, and we want to try to avoid that. Another thing we got to do is in location options here, I would change this from this first option to presence people in or regularly in your included locations. This is another way that you can try to filter out the, the out of location calls. So make sure you switch it from this to this, and that will help trim that down a little bit. Now, really quickly, like I said, we're not going to have the time to do a full setup and everything, but I'm going to show you briefly kind of an overview of how to set up conversions. So pretty much what you want to do, you want to come in here and we're going to want 3 different conversion actions. So number 1, we're going to want a conversion action for somebody who calls the phone number on the website. Number 2, you want to have a conversion action for people who call the phone number on the ad itself. And then number 3, you want a conversion action for any kind of form fills or anything on the website. So it's a pretty simple process. It'll give you code, but you don't need to know how to code. You just got to copy and paste it. So you just hit create conversion action. And for phone call stuff, you just want to leave this selected, calls from ads, website visits, etc. Save and continue. And I'm just going to do a quick kind of dummy one right now. For phone calls, we just want to select phone call lead, create a conversion action, and we'll do one for the website. The one for calls from ads is really simple, but calls from website visits, select that. Someone calls a number shown on the website, hit this, and then this is where you'd pretty much just put the phone number from the website. And I will just pause really quick. I'm going to grab it and then just kind of walk through this. All right, so you take your phone number, put it in there, hit use this event. That looks good. We're going to hit save and continue. And then there's a couple of things you're going to have to install on the website. And again, you just got to copy and paste it. It's not a difficult installation. For any of the conversion actions, you're going to need to install this Google tag. So you just hit setup right here. It's going to open up a window that looks like this, and you have this little snippet of code. All you got to do is copy this, and then you take this and put it within the head tag on your website. So if you're building on a landing page builder or WordPress or something like that, there should be an easy way to just copy this and paste it within the head section of any. This essentially needs to go on every single page of the website. So you got to put this on every single page, confirm, and then to track calls to the phone number on there, you also need to put this additional little snippet underneath that first snippet on every page where the phone number is. And you can see right here, this is what the head tags look like. So if you have to go into the code and do it, it should just be after a little piece of code that looks like this. Or if you are building on a website builder, there should be a really easy way to just copy and paste that. So that is the phone call, the website phone call conversion action. The phone call from the ad conversion action is really simple. You just do that same process, and then instead of clicking calls to the website, you just click calls to an ad, and then you just name it whatever you want, and then you just assign it to the call action, the call asset rather. And then the form fill one, it's a little bit different. You still got to paste the Google tag on the page, but you are going to need to, if somebody fills out a form on the website, let me actually switch over here. Do you have a contact form on here? So yeah, if somebody fills out this form, and if you want to track this as a conversion, if somebody fills out this form, after they hit submit, they need to get sent to another page after this, usually called a thank you page. And then you take a little piece of code, you paste it on the thank you page. And then when somebody hits the thank you page after filling this out, it will register when they hit that page as a conversion. So again, obviously I don't have access to the site or anything, so I can't really install it, but that is kind of a really quick rundown of installing conversion tracking. It's really simple. You just have to paste a couple codes on the website, but it needs to get set up to not only be able to optimize the campaign on your end, but also to be able to have the campaign actually have Google optimize it on their end. So next thing I want to talk about really quick is just traffic in general. So the search traffic coming into the campaign. And I just kind of have a wide date range selected here. And the biggest thing with any Google Ads campaign is it comes down to like three things really. Number one, you got to get the right traffic coming into the campaign. So that's the first thing with any campaign is you got to get the right traffic. Number two, your ads have to be relevant to that traffic. So they got to get clicked on. And then number three, you obviously have to convert that traffic into leads. So outside of the conversion tracking stuff on the campaign, one of the other big things to focus on is the quality of the traffic coming into the campaign. So before we go over keywords and stuff, let me just open up search terms. And this is going to show you what your ads have shown up for. Let me just widen this out. And the biggest thing I wanted to talk about here is search traffic quality is going to dictate whether or not you get quality leads and if you get really kind of any leads from the campaign. So looking at this list, a lot of the search phrases, the things that the ads are showing up for, are just not relevant to what we want. Obviously, Sherwin-Williams, we don't want to have the ads showing up for. Things like this are just kind of too broad. This to me looks like somebody just looking for pictures of a painted front porch or something like that. We want to be showing up for stuff like this. Painting companies near me, house painters, Gastonia, North Carolina, kitchen cabinet painting near me. We want stuff like that. We want high quality, what are called high intent search traffic, high intent keywords, because if we show up for just really broad stuff like this, cabinet paint, obviously you're going to get a lower cost per click, but you're just not going to, it's not going to be relevant enough. It's not going to be high intent enough, and it's just not going to end up converting into a lead. So you're going to notice some of these higher intent keywords, they're more expensive. So house painters, Gastonia, North Carolina, $22 a click. And there's a reason why it's expensive is because people want to bid on that traffic because it has buyer intent. And the people that are searching for that keyword, they're looking for somebody to paint their house. So that's why it's going to be more expensive, but we want to show up for stuff like this. So in order to solve that problem, first thing we got to do is we got to essentially kind of tighten up some of the keywords. So some of these are solid, painter near me, that's good. But things like this, I would probably avoid, like cabinet painting, interior painting. Painting company can be all right. It just might still be a little bit broad. You'll need some negative keywords. Residential interior painting might not be too bad, but there are keywords in here that are just a little bit too broad, and it's going to trigger a lot of those really broad sort of search terms. So I pulled up the keyword planner, just did a really quick search. These are the kind of things that if I were building out the campaign, the things that I would focus on in terms of the keyword kind of intent. And you can build on this. Another type of keyword that you could do is geographic. So it could be like painters, Gastonia, North Carolina, stuff like that. But this is just sort of a general painters one. These are the types of things that I would look at more than, the broad kind of stuff that's in there. So painters near me, home painters near me, painter nearby me, painting companies near me, interior painting companies near me. All this kind of stuff is what you want to bid on and the kind of keywords that you want to have in your campaign, because these are the types of keywords that people who are actually going to turn into a lead and actually convert. These are the people that are, these are the keywords rather that people are going to be searching. So you could do keywords like this. Like I said, you could do geographic keywords. You can do more service specific keywords, but the whole idea is all of the keywords need to be high quality and high intent, or else you're going to get those really broad kind of search terms, and you're going to be showing up for those other things like Sherwin-Williams and all that kind of stuff. And then another thing to keep in mind though, like I mentioned before, is the cost per click on these is going to be much higher. And the reason, like I said, is because this is the stuff that will actually convert into a lead, and everybody wants to bid on it. So again, going back to budget, this is also why I would recommend probably looking at other platforms right now, because if the hard cap on the budget is like $30 a day, it's going to be really hard to make Google Ads work, because you might get, say, 2 clicks a day And that's just not going to be enough to, drive a good profitable campaign. You're not going to have enough traffic to optimize the campaign with, get enough leads, all that kind of stuff. And usually something like Facebook, you could probably get leads for, maybe even the cost of one of these clicks. So maybe like a $50 lead or something like that. So Facebook might be a better option compared to Google Ads. And then once you have more cash flow to really dedicate to Google Ads, then I'd look back towards Google Ads as potentially another option. But I know I did mention really quickly that sometimes painting I've seen in the past can be really hit or miss on Google Ads. So something to keep in mind, it's tough to really kind of nail down the painting niche on Google Ads. So could be something where even maybe you don't go to Facebook, maybe you just take the budget that you're allocating towards this and then you push it towards SEO or something like that. But yeah, so that is most of the keywords. Let me just check my list here. I've got match types, keyword selection. So you are using match types, which is good. I recommend phrase and exact match only. You are doing that. So you're not putting broad match keywords in here, which is good. The only other thing that I would do in terms of cleaning up the traffic is adding more negative keywords. You do already have some in here, which is good, but I would just build this list out more. So some ways to do that, obviously, if you go back to the search terms report, you can just start adding stuff from here to your negative keywords list. And this is all really valuable data. You can go through this and literally just click this, add as a negative keyword, add to the campaign. And then I would probably just get rid of these little brackets here because that's an exact match negative. Add that in and then just hit save and then just go down this list. And then anything that is not really aligned with what you want, just add it in. And this is something that on campaigns that I'm managing, I'm doing every single week, going through, making sure the search traffic's clean, adding more negatives. Another thing you want to do is add in the competitor names of all of the other painting companies in your market. And then I'd also add in competitor names for any, kind of, I guess you could say like home improvement companies in the area, sort of like, broad home services type companies. Add in, things like Home Depot, Lowe's, all that. And that's going to help you clean up your search traffic more and kind of clean up that area of the campaign. Another quick thing we could talk about is the kind of account structure, relevance, all that sort of stuff. So it's good that you have things split out into different themes here. You can definitely build on this. So, if there's other kind of subsets of services, like I mentioned previously, you can do location specific ad groups. So Gastonia, I keep using Gastonia. I could look at a map and get other examples, but you get the idea. You can just kind of find other locations that have some search traffic, build an ad group around that. And you can do probably even just like a generic, like painters near me sort of an ad group. So you can build this out more, but it is good that you have this already. So you're kind of on the right track. It's just something that I'd build on more because you need to have this relevance where each one of these ad groups need to have the same keyword theme. And then they need to point to ads that are relevant to that keyword theme. So you have the interior painting ad, and then you have the interior painting ad group. And then I did see some of these keywords you could split out into other ad groups, like painting company, like painting companies would probably be an ad group. General painter near me kind of keywords would be its own ad group. And then everything in this ad group, you just want to keep interior. Because that's going to improve how relevant your ads are to the searcher. That's going to help you get a better click-through rate. It's going to help you get a better conversion rate. So that's another thing I would do there. And just in general, if we kind of back out to the ad group level here, cleaning up the search traffic on the front end of the campaign will help just sort of the general performance of these ad groups, get a better click-through rate, get a better conversion rate. So all this kind of stuff, like it's not going to be one fix. It's usually a series of things that kind of add up to a better result. And then the final part of any campaign is obviously we need to, we got to get good traffic. Ads got to get clicked on. The ads have to be relevant to the searcher. The last part of any campaign is we need to actually take that traffic and then convert it into a lead on a page. So typically I recommend a landing page. In this case, if we just go to the ads, I will click through to this one right here. Right now, it's just going to the homepage of the website, which is fine. I like it can work for sure. And your website does look good. You have calls to action and everything. If I move my little recording thing out of the way here and we go to mobile, you have some calls to action here up top, which is good. So this does look good. The first thing I would do before anything else, before you go down the rabbit hole of like building other pages and landing pages and all that, I would get conversion tracking set up here and then see how this is actually converting, and then get a baseline and then figure things out from there. But what I recommend at the end of the day is landing pages, because one of the challenges with a website is websites are going to be built to rank in search. In order to do that, you kind of need different things than landing pages. And there's usually a lot of other things people can get distracted by. So even little things like this, where you can go to learn more, takes you to exterior painting, seems good in theory, but ultimately what we want with a landing page is we don't want distractions. We want it to be really, really focused. Any chance people have to kind of click off and go to different areas can drastically reduce the conversion rate. Because it's just distracting. Like with landing pages, we want it to be simple and focused, and that will help boost up that conversion rate. And the more the higher the conversion rate is, rather, the more leads are going to get at a cheaper cost per lead. So that is something that I would definitely recommend looking into. But if you do continue just using the website, what I would probably recommend is getting reviews somewhere on, like, any page you're going to be sending traffic to, is just getting reviews on the pages. I think on the interior painting one, or maybe the cabinet painting, I think it was the cabinet painting one. I know you did have a page specific to it. So yeah, that's, if you're going to continue using the website, just make sure the page you're sending them to is relevant to whatever the ad group is. But my recommendation on a whole is probably just start using landing pages. And I don't know what this is built on. If it's built on WordPress or something like that, you could probably just build another page off of this website. And landing pages, just as a quick rundown, typically you're going to have no navigation. So if somebody searches for interior painting, let's just say it's interior painting, the landing page should pretty much just be about interior painting. So interior painting, serving these locations. And then usually I like to just do like a phone call to action here. So it's usually a phone call, like some kind of tap to call button, kind of like you have here, a form, and then everything on the page should be about interior painting. So it's just very relevant to what they searched. And then reviews, you have your video here, which is good. And but yeah, the whole idea with a landing page is they hit the page and their only options are really become a lead by either filling out a form or calling a phone number or going back to Google. So you don't want to give them the option to click around and see a bunch of different stuff, because people get very distracted very easily. You need to kind of like handhold people to that kind of call to action. So that's what I do there. But like I said, the first thing I would do is I'd probably get the conversion tracking set up first. And that way you can get kind of like a baseline to see if those pages are working, if they're not working, and then go from there. So yeah, that kind of, I think, covers things for the most part. To kind of summarize here, like I said, the number one thing you want to do is you want to get the conversion tracking set up. That is going to help you to get a baseline, see what's working. It's going to help you, actually figure out what you can and cannot optimize in the campaign. It's going to help Google optimize the campaign. Number two, definitely work on the search traffic. So that's got to get cleaned up. Put in new keywords. Continue using the match types you have in there now. Build up the negative keyword list. I'd probably add in some more ad groups to the campaign to try to kind of cover your bases a little bit more, and then hit some more keyword themes. And then I would, once you get conversion tracking set up on the landing page, see where it's at, and then evaluate where you can improve from there. So like I said before, I'd probably recommend a landing page, but that's totally up to you. The whole goal with the page that you send it to, because this is kind of like 80% of Google Ads, is the page you send the traffic to is going to dictate a lot of where your cost per lead ends up. Because if you send it to a page that's only converting 10% of clicks into leads, and you're paying $10 a click, hypothetically, it's going to be more in this situation. That's a $100 lead. Whereas if you send it to a landing page that's converting 20% of clicks into leads, that lead goes from $100 down to $50. So that is a very, very big lever that you can pull. So it's something to kind of not sleep on in that regard. But I think the kind of overarching conversation around the campaign is just sort of where your budget is at personally, and something to really consider with this campaign in general, where if I were in your position and let's say my cap was like $50 a day, I would probably take that budget and either put it into Facebook ads. Like if you need the leads now, Facebook is going to be probably quicker. But if it's more of a long-term investment kind of thing, I personally, like I would take that budget and probably put it into the website, put it into SEO, and put it into ranking higher on Google Maps. Those things I think are going to be a better long-term play than trying to get Google Ads to work now, especially in an industry like painting where it can be really hit or miss on Google Ads, and the cost per click can kind of be just a little bit outrageous in some cases. So that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know. And hopefully this was helpful. And yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. All right, so that's it for this video. If you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are somebody that wants an audit like this for your business, you can go to the description below, fill out the consultation form, let me know you're looking for an audit, and then I can put an audit together like this for you, put it up to the channel, and yeah, you can take it and implement it for yourself. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks.